Hello everybody, welcome back to English in 10. My name is Natalie and today we are going to look at how to properly pronounce regular verbs in the past simple. Now, in English, all regular verbs in the past simple end in ed, but we don't pronounce them ed. We do not say wanted, for example. We're going to look at the 3 different ways we pronounce these verbs in the past simple, along with some examples. But before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on the notifications, ding ding ding, and you'll always get notified when we publish new videos. All right, let's get started. Great. As I said, there are 3 different ways that we pronounce the ed at the end of past simple verbs. The first one is id, like needed. So we pronounce it like it's an ID, needed. The second is just to make a d sound, lived, for example. The third one is a t sound. So the verb helped, for example. It might seem a little complicated, but the good news, there is good news. The good news is that there's very simple rules to understand how to pronounce the end of the words. It all depends on the final sound on the infinitive of the verb. Now, important point. It's not the final letter on the infinitive, it's the final sound that you hear on the infinitive that determines how you pronounce the ed when we convert it into the past simple. Now, infinitives that end with the letter D or T will always sound like id in the past tense. I always hated school. If you take a look at this example, the last letter of the infinitive is E, but the last sound on the infinitive is T, hate. So, because of this rule, we add the ED and the sound instead of hated becomes hated. I always hated school. We pay attention to the last sound of the infinitive, and that tells us how we pronounce the ed. I really needed my coffee this morning. When I woke up, I was so tired. I really needed my coffee this morning. I wanted to go to Vietnam on holiday this year, but I decided that I was just going to save the money. Perfect. Let's take a look at the second group for pronunciation of ed at the end of past simple verbs. Now, if the sound at the end of the infinitive is voiced, we pronounce the ed as d. I have mentioned in a previous video the difference between voiced and unvoiced sounds, but basically when you make a voiced sound, you can feel the vibration in your throat. When you make an unvoiced sound, there's no vibration. So the voiced sound at the end of an infinitive means that we add d to the end of the word to make it into the past simple. Let's have a look at some examples. I grabbed a coffee on my way to work this morning. I didn't have time at home, so I grabbed a coffee on my way to work this morning. I lived in Berlin for 4 years. I loved it. I lived in Berlin for 4 years and I loved it. All right? So whenever we have a voiced sound at the end of the infinitive, the ed is pronounced d, lived. loved, grabbed. Great. On to group 3. Group 3, our third and final group, is when you have an unvoiced sound at the end of the infinitive, we pronounce the ed as t. Right? We pronounce it as t. Let's have a look at a couple of examples. I dressed really smartly for my job interview. I dressed really smartly for my job interview. For my sister's birthday, I cooked a really nice meal. I cooked a really nice meal. He brushed his teeth really hard and now his gums are bleeding. He brushed his teeth far too hard and now his gums are bleeding. All right. So for this one, unvoiced, so no vibration, unvoiced sounds at the end of the infinitive mean we pronounce the ed as t. Dressed, cooked, brushed. Perfect. All right, that's our 3 groups. Finished. Done. Really easy, right? Okay, so now you just need to do some practice. All right, that's the end of our video. I hope that this was helpful and you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.